The things that I do for you. If I told you how I feel, be like an arrow right through to you. I heard the way you talk about me. I love the way that you stare. But you don't have to live without me anymore. I'm right here.
All right. Garrett J. Brown.
What's good?
How's it going, brother?
It's going well. Yourself?
Doing well, man. Thank you for having me here.
Dude, thank you for coming to my spot. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. I love getting in musicians' zones and kind of seeing their vibe. And I'm looking around, and this is like a professional setup for sure. You got stuff in here I've never even seen before, so...
It's not too shabby, man. It's not too shabby. It's enough for what I do, for real. Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk about kind of how I was introduced to you.
Okay.
So through our great friend, BRITNY LOBAS.
That's right. That's right. Queen Bee.
Yes, she is amazing. She's got that show coming up soon, so we're definitely going to check that out. So do a little... Thank you, BRITNY, for setting this up, actually.
That's right. Get your tickets, y'all. Person.
Yes. All right. So I was doing my research into you.
Yes.
And I was in a rabbit hole, man. I think I saw you cover a Future song. There was the Toy Story theme song.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I remember that. That was during the pandemic, man. I was just bored and just asking people what they wanted me to play, you know, and just I think I did most of those in like one single day, you know, changed outfits, just taking requests, just trying to do anything to keep me entertained.
Awesome. Do you can knock those out pretty quick?
Yeah, I've got it pretty dialed in. That's kind of what this space is for, more so than anything else. I can't do much like major mixing, but as far as just like content creation, I've got it pretty streamlined.
Heck yeah. Because those shorts, man, that's like the thing now.
It is. I mean, that's most of the content I consume is just, you know, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, that sort of thing. So,
yeah. So when you're doing those, like, do you have anybody helping you, or is it just all you, like DIY? Or
it is all DIY. I've had to figure out how to do camera stuff, lighting. That's the trickiest thing, man, is lighting. But yeah, it's all. I usually start. I'll wake up in the morning. I'll come in here, and I'll just kind of play around on an idea. And as soon as I get one that I think is good enough, then I'll fire up my Logic rig. I'll start recording the track, and then shortly after that, I'll just film myself playing all the parts.
That's awesome. I was looking at that earlier, like where you'll cut to you on the drums, you with the bass.
That's right. Yeah.
And that it takes a lot of work. Just like editing these videos,
right,
and like chopping them up, and it's just, you know, us talking.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be a chore. So I couldn't imagine like with the music. So do you play every track through all the way, and then you take clips of them, or is it like...
Most of the time I'm just trying to get the section, that's kind of the beautiful thing about the shorts is like I really only need about 30 seconds of content, you know? And so, yeah, I'll just, I'll set a camera up, and then I'll play through it until I get it right, and then I'll mark down what take that was. I'll be like, all right, take 5. I think I really killed it. And then I'll move on to the next instrument, do the same thing. I'll just leave the camera running. It's just staying moving, and then I just throw it all into my software, find those notes, get the cuts, and then layer them on top of each other. I'm usually just playing the music through these speakers, so I'm just moving around. It's a process, but yeah, I've got it dialed in about as quick as you can get it.
Well, you look like you're having fun with it.
It's too much fun, yeah.
It's awesome. Did it grow your following?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. That's something that, especially like TikTok, was really good about, was just kind of putting your content in front of fans. It's not just like my friends and family seeing it. It's actually somebody who might like it. You know, the algorithm has pointed them in my direction. And so I have grown quite a following on that. And then even on Instagram, since they started doing the reels, it kind of works in a similar way. I started to get a following there as well. And it's really all you need. As the clips that I make that work well, then I know, hey, I should probably build a song around that. I should probably finish that idea. You know, it kind of gives me some feedback as to what what's working and what isn't.
That's real cool, man. Yeah, that's one thing I'm bad about is the social media aspect. Like I'm thinking about taking a class or like
Yeah.
just watching a bunch of videos on it because I don't really do the shorts and even promotion. You know, I'll go to Instagram,
Yeah.
post a video. Hey, you know, check this out. Here's my link tree or whatever. But I do need to get more involved. I know one of my last guests was telling me, he's like, just be present every day. Just
Yeah.
do something.
It's important.
And I think I need to get into that. And you're kind of inspiring that because, like I said, I was just in a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Just listening to all your jams. And it was good, man. Now, I know you have, is it a 3-pack of like originals? I was looking through Spotify and everywhere just to like jam all your music.
Yeah. I got a little, it was last summer. I just called it like a little summer pack. Just a couple of songs that I thought kind of went well together, you know? It's really tough to do like a full EP or an album because, yeah, you can put so much time and effort into it. You put it out into the world and then people are into it for, you know, a week or two and then they're on to the next thing. Then you're just sitting there like, man, I spent like a year on this and I only got about a week's worth of love for it. So just smaller and smaller pack singles. And then, yeah, that summer pack, I just did 2 singles and then, you know, put them together for the pack.
Man, I like it because it's a variety. Like each song, although it goes together, they're so different.
They are, yeah.
Man, the one I was jamming by the pool, Good It Hurts.
Yeah.
That one is a pool vibe to me.
That's a summer bop. Like that's kind of why I wanted to put it in a summer pack. I had never done anything like that before. That was just like really pop forward. But it just turned out so well. Like I was just, every time I would open up the project on my computer, it just felt good, you know? So I knew I had to keep pushing in that direction. And yeah, that's how I got Good It Hurts.
That was a great song, man. Like you said, it is a bop. And I was laughing at the tall blonde song.
Yeah.
I was like, who is she, man?
Yeah.
Who was she? Who did you fall in love with?
That's my girlfriend. That's my girlfriend Taylor, for sure. I have a type and I've stuck to it so far.
I was like, I wonder how tall they got to be. Is it like like 6 foot? You like them taller than you?
Not that wouldn't bother me. That wouldn't bother me even a little bit. She is about my height, which for a woman is considered tall. Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. So the 3-pack was good. Are you working on any new music or
Yes.
any originals?
Yes, I am. I've been putting a lot of time. I haven't actually been doing a lot of the shorts and stuff because I've been really just honing in on, like, I got like the next pack will be 4 songs. I don't have a release yet. I'm not quite sure when it's going to be out. I'm hoping I can at least get it done by maybe November. But yeah, it's like 4 songs that I feel really go well together. They vibe in a good way. And I've been just putting all of my time and effort into that. I've been working with a guy named Nick James, going over to his place, recording some drums, and they're turning out real nicely.
Awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. I already know it's going to jam.
Yeah, it will.
All right, man. So as I look around your studio here, I see so many different just musical instruments.
For sure.
Where did you start off playing?
So I was in the school band in the 6th grade, and I played the drums. So I played just like a little practice pad, and then actually this very bell kit right here. But I started there, and then by the time I got into the 8th grade, the summer before the 8th grade, I met a kid who was very talented at the guitar. His name was Stuart. He was in my hometown. He was taking lessons. And we had a similar love for like some 70s and 60s rock and roll. So he told me, he's like, hey, I bet I can teach you how to play bass. And I was like, yeah, sure. All right. So I would go over to his house a few times a week. He taught me how to play. And then shortly thereafter, I didn't have a bass, but my father played the guitar. So I would practice the bass on the guitar at the house. And then I started to play the guitar. I started to do that. I started to write my own songs. And yeah, from there, I just on through high school, joined the jazz band, started some rock bands of my own. And Then went to college, did the jazz band at Troy University. And the whole time I was still playing drums. I was still doing the marching band thing. I can play like a little bit of keys. I've taken just a handful of lessons that they made me at college. I'm not stellar at them. I always say I'm about as good at the piano as like that guy at a campfire with a guitar. I'm like that good at the piano. And then, you know, when I was in high school, none of my friends, including myself, none of us wanted to sing. And I was just kind of the only one who jumped at that opportunity, you know. And I did it just because I had to, just because we needed a singer for a long time. And then it just became probably my favorite part about doing it.
Wow. So you didn't even want to sing?
I didn't even want to sing. Yeah. Nobody did.
Because that's the one instrument that I don't see here is the voice.
Yeah.
And like listening to your covers, which one? Ain't No Sunshine?
Yeah. Some Bill Withers.
Bro, that was beautiful, man. So you kind of surprised me because a lot of people I talk to, they usually start off guitar.
Mm-hmm.
So starting off with the drums, that's pretty crazy.
For sure.
Do you still play a lot, like live show? Is it drums or you do mainly guitar?
I'm mostly guitar. I would say guitar is my primary. It's the one that I've had the most training on. I had to do like classical lessons and stuff whenever I went to college. So yeah, I call that my primary, but drums are an easy secondary for me. And then whenever I play with BRITNY full band, I'm playing the bass. So I still like to make sure I keep all of my chops well oiled.
Awesome. Yeah. You know what? I had the pleasure of seeing you at, it was a Swan Dive, I believe.
Ooh, that was a good night.
Yeah. It was Brit's show.
Yeah.
And I saw you up there. I was like, I know that cool guy.
Yeah, dude.
That was awesome, man.
Yeah, that was a good night.
So guitar primary, you do a little bit of keys. Any other like obscure instruments you mess with or anything like that? Saxophone?
No, wind instruments are where I check out for sure. That's like something that's so beyond me. I can play some weird percussion instruments. I got like a mark tree. It sounds like a bird. I can play the hell out of that. But yeah, I wouldn't say anything too off the wall.
That's awesome. So, speaking of playing live with BRITNY,
yeah,
I was doing my research and the Petticoat 5.
Petticoat 5, yeah.
So is that like a cover band or is it like I was trying to look for some originals. I couldn't find much.
We have some. We're recording those as well. We'll probably have those out in a couple of months if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's just sort of like me and BRITNY's fun project. That's just us having a good time. There's a couple of originals that we have that are specifically Petticoat 5 songs, but for the most part, we just play our own originals back and forth. I helped her write a majority of hers, so it's really easy to just fly through. We can cover like 3 hours, no problem.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of y'all, and you look like you guys are very compatible on stage.
Definitely.
Kind of feeding off each other's energy and whatnot.
It's real easy to do with her, for sure.
It's awesome, man. So let's talk about songwriting now.
Okay.
Since you bring that up.
All right.
What is your process like? Do you have to get your juices flowing? Is there any thing you like to do?
Man, it's different every time. It really is. I usually start on the guitar, just like a chord progression. It's just something I'll find interesting, and then from there I'll build up and around it. But sometimes I start on the drums. If I'm lucky, I start with a melody. You know, sometimes I'll be at the gym or just walking around, like brushing my teeth or something, and I'll get an idea. I usually hear the entire song all at once, and then it's up to me to figure out how to make that come alive with the instruments, which is always a challenge. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it just doesn't.
And what about the lyric part? Do you find that difficult, or do you ever get like in those slumps?
There's definitely some slumps. Like it happens, but I found a few ways to, I'll do like word exercises, you know, just some things to get my brain moving in the right direction. I have a note document in my phone that anytime I just have like an idea out in the world, I'll write it down. I'll be like, oh, that's a cool premise. That's a cool line. And then if I ever get stuck, I'll write that down. I'll tell you the hardest part for me is finding like what to write about, like writing something that I haven't already said, but that I feel needs to be said. So sometimes I'm just throwing stuff at the wall, just like straight gibberish until I hear something. I'll hear like a word, or I'll hear a melody that I can start to reverse engineer and build out from that one spot, that one line that I find.
That's awesome. Yeah, I always hear a lot like the lyrics usually are like the toughest part, you know,
Yeah.
like people can sit down and come up with, you know, like you said, the melodies and the instrumental part, but coming up with, you know, words from the soul and things
Yeah.
like that. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at your Instagram and everything and your website, you're a super busy guy.
Yeah, I stay very busy.
And how do you like pick these shows up? Is just meeting people and putting yourself out there?
Yeah, for the most part, that's really it. Like, I've done the thing where I'm like spamming emails, I'm like blowing people up, and I never seem to get any luck, you know? But if I just talk to the people that I know, my musician friends and what have you, it's really easy to find those contacts, you know? Like word of mouth is still the best. Like as far as social media and everything has gotten, if you hear somebody is good from a friend, you're going to take that seriously. And so I've had a lot of luck doing that, just hanging out with people, going to shows, and then, you know, they'll introduce me to the venue owner. I'll chat them up and what have you, and then I'll book some dates.
Give me one of your favorite venues you've played.
Ooh, let's see. I always love to play Stubbs indoors, as far as like the full band thing.
Oh, the barbecue place?
Yes. Oh, they have a stellar stage. They have huge acts come through. But then they also have a smaller stage that's just very fun to play. Mohawk is stellar. I'm really into... every Friday I play at Celis Brewery. That's a staple for me. And it's really cool because the area, their beer garden, was brand new. I was probably one of the first people to play in there. And when I started to play in there, I'd get like a handful of people. It might be like 20, 25 people. Now every Friday, I'm playing for probably about 150, 200 people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Did you, whenever you first started playing in front of crowds, what did you find most difficult about kind of putting yourself out there? Or did you find anything? Was it always just, you know, from the jump?
It was always pretty easy for me. You know, I'm a ham, so it's almost like it's harder to get the attention for me, but if I have it, I know exactly what to do with it. You know, if I have people watching me, I know how to keep you entertained and engaged. That's always just come very easy. But if I'm playing to a room where nobody seems interested, that's when it really feels like work. You know, that's whenever the nerves come out and I'm like, I feel like I'm just bothering you. You know, I feel like I'm giving you a hard time.
So you right from the jump, you just kind of felt at peace with being up there. There wasn't really any jitters or anything like that.
For sure. And I also think that a lot of that was playing in school band, you know, like such an early age. And it was easier because I was playing with, you know, 50 other kids. And then whenever I translated to full band stuff, I was still playing with my best friends, you know, I was still playing with my homies. So it never bothered me. I never got stage fright. Playing by myself is a little bit of a different animal. But even then, I think I had gotten enough stage experience by that point that it really wasn't too much of an obstacle.
Now, are you doing this full-time, like full-time musician?
I'm
or?
a full-time musician. Yes, it is my job.
That's cool, man. Because I always get curious, like how you guys balance, you know, if you are working a full-time job
Right.
and then doing the musician thing. So this is just you 100% of the time.
This is just me 100% of the time. Yeah, and it wasn't until the pandemic that I was able to pull that off. Like I said, I was working for a sound company for a while. Then the pandemic hit, so then gigs went away. There was no live music to work. So I got laid off, and the company kind of hibernated for a little bit. And so then I had to get creative. So I started to do like Twitch streaming. That was a big source of revenue for me. And because of the Twitch streaming, I was able to build up my repertoire, because I'd have to sit in front of my computer for 3-4 hours on a stream if I wanted to get any traction. So I had to learn how to play longer and longer, more songs. And then by the time things started to open back up, I was able to go out and gig and just play by myself. And I was making pretty solid money. I was making good money doing it. And then the company asked me, they opened back up. They asked me if I wanted to come back. And I was already making more money just playing gigs out. So I was like, I really appreciate it, but I have more time to focus on my craft now than I ever have before. I don't have that 9 to 5 that they're expecting me on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So now my days I just spend working on music, making videos, and if I have an availability, I love to write with other people.
That's beautiful, man. So I bet you feel really fulfilled now. You know, now it's like you get to pour yourself, you know, all of yourself, and, you know, not the 9 to 5 grind. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's nice, but it's the challenge is it's like I quit my 9 to 5, and now I feel like I work 24/7. You know, now I feel like there's no rest. You know, because my home is my office. I'm always at the office.
You wake up in the office.
I wake up in the office, you know. So it's a balance, but I've definitely had worse jobs.
That's cool. Hey, you're your own boss.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
got to set your own hours.
That's right. That's right.
So do you have like a certain schedule? You're like, all right, I'm gonna wake up and Monday through Friday I do this, or is it kind of just playing it by ear?
For sure. I wake up at 7:30 every morning. I'm having a hard time right now because we just did the daylight savings time. So I'm still like resetting that schedule. But yeah, I wake up at 7:30. I'll go outside. I'll read. I like to read in the morning, drink my coffee. Then as soon as my girlfriend wakes up, we'll head to the gym. We'll knock that out. And then I come right in here and I just sit in front of my computer and see what happens. You know, I'm either working on a track that I'm trying to release. I'm either making a video that I can put onto the internet, or I'm trying to edit a video or work on a song that I've been collaborating with another artist on. And I'll do that until probably about 3 or 4. And then by then, on some days I'll have a gig. So then I go out and I play, come back, fall asleep, start over.
That's super cool, man. And I'm starting to like see similarities between successful people and people that are like chasing those dreams. And it's just like a certain amount of discipline and a certain amount of like just, you know, go getter.
Yeah.
I don't know how you got like that dog in you type.
For sure, man. When I was a kid, I played a lot of sports. And so there's a lot of things that I translated from that. Just as far as I wasn't any good at them, but I was always trying to be better at it. And with that, and, you know, doing like the school band and what have you, it really just put like a level of discipline in me that I always try to keep exercised.
Yeah, and the team sports and like, you know, band, kind of being with others and like working in unison with them, I think that helps out too, you know, with kids, and it just builds confidence and stuff like that. So that's cool. So now that you're working for yourself and doing your thing, like what's your plan? You know, do you have a goal like in 5 years gonna have an album, bunch of albums, or like what do you got going on?
So I would say, yeah, like right now, really just focused on this 4-song pack. That's kind of like my year goal, just because I don't have a lot of music on Spotify. I just have those 3 songs. I have a lot of songs out with previous bands, Jam Therapy and The Matters, tons of stuff. But as far as under my own name, I'm still trying to build that and make sure that it's of a certain quality, but also not breaking the bank. That's kind of been my goal, is like try to be as self-contained as possible so I can move quickly and cheaply. As far as like a long-term goal, the thing that I enjoy doing the most and something that I think I can do well into my older years is songwrite, is, you know, collaborate with other artists and yeah, just be a co-write on a lot of songs. I've got a lot of songs out. There's an artist in Nashville, Miss Virginia Louise. I helped her write her EP, and she's just about to release that. It turned out incredible. But what I love about that is I can write the song with her, and then she goes off and does all the hard work. She's touring it, she's promoting it, she's doing all of that, where my work is already done. And music, the money in music is in the publishing. It's owning that thing. If I got a song on a BMW commercial, I could lay up. I could, you know, I'm good at that point.
Start writing jingles or something.
Dude, that's all you need, really.
Honestly, you could, man. I
Yeah.
could see you like pumping a few jingles out.
Dude, I would love that. I really would.
Dude, also that's a good topic right there. Doing like the collaboration and
Yeah.
doing the songwriting for others.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you do that, do you find it easier? Like, do you do a lot of stuff in person, or like I know you said she's in Nashville. Do you do things like they'll send you a track and you kind of just play with that, or how do you kind of set that up?
For the most part, it's in person.
Okay.
She was living in Austin when we wrote all of those songs. Yeah, man, I love to see. I love other people's work. Like anytime I'll set up a co-write with someone, I always just tell them, what is a song that you have that you were just stuck on? Like, what is one that you just cannot figure out what that next thing is, that thing that, you know, the next section, the line that you're looking for. And it's really easy for me to jump in there and kind of just start making suggestions that they hadn't considered. You know, just having a second mind on it is so helpful. And I understand how hard it is to be that one person in a room writing a song and then you're just stuck. And it's your baby, you know, your song is your baby. You want it to be so good and you start putting this pressure on it. But when I come in, I don't have that pressure on it. So I can come at it with fresh ears, fresh eyes, and really start giving you some ideas that maybe you hadn't considered. That's been a forte of mine. It's something that I really enjoy to do.
And how does that work? Like, I know you said publishing, like,
Mm-hmm.
so whenever they put an album out, they'll credit you and say, you know, hey, you know, this had a hand in helping me write. And
For
things
sure,
like that.
for sure. There's a few companies out there, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, I think is the other one. But they're your publishing companies. So I'm a ASCAP member. So what I'll do is I'll just send them my ID, my member ID for ASCAP, and then they'll set it up through their publisher, and that pretty much just makes sure that any money that song makes, I get my portion. What I love to do is before I even write, I'll just set up there's a form that you can sign that just kind of like lays it out. Like, I worked on this song, you worked on this song, you are 75% of this song, I'm 25%, I'm 50%, you're 50%. And then that gives your, in my case, ASCAP, all the information they need to make sure that I get paid for whatever that song does make.
How did you get into like learning the business side of it? Because that sounds like you're kind of versed in not only just writing the music, making it, but the business side. So, and I know that goes hand in hand with your gigs too.
Yeah.
You know, you're not doing them all for free, so you gotta make money. How'd you get into that?
Well, whenever I went to university, Troy University, I learned a little bit about it, but really it's the real world that's going to teach you the most, you know, where something there's going to be a time, and luckily it happened really early on, where people are going to have different ideas about who wrote what, you know, once time passes, and then you kind of get in that hole of like, I think I did more, and they're like, no, I did more, and this, that, and the other. So it's really easy to just, I learned that it's much easier to just figure it out, set it before you even start, and then you can really just relax about all of that. You don't have to worry about that drama later on. You just squash it right from the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because you don't want to clash with somebody because most of these people are your friends.
Absolutely.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, and definitely you don't want the business to come in between you guys. So
Right.
That's cool that you kind of have that laid out beforehand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a contract.
Absolutely.
In a way.
Yeah, and it takes the pressure off. And you know, that's my experience with it. Like as soon as you do it that way, it's just like, all right, well then let's write this song. We have that part figured out. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Let's just make a good track.
Yeah, and then when you say like 50%, 20%, you may go in and they have the song done and it's like, I just need this part.
They just need like a little thing, you know what I mean? And then you just talk about it, you know, hey, I think I can contribute to this much. Do you agree? And yeah, you move on from there.
Awesome. Now, what about with the venues? Do you have like contracts set up with them, or are you kind of like your own manager?
I am my own manager. Yeah, I am my own manager. Nothing other than just your standard tax forms to make sure they're settled up and can write me off at the end of the year.
That's cool. Yeah, because I got a lot of friends that, you know, want to be musicians, and I think this is very beneficial to them.
For sure.
To see that it's not just picking up a guitar. You know, that is a big thing, but it's more, you know, you got to look at the music business as well. So
Yeah. And that sucks sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think I would have to know all of this. You know, I didn't think I'd have to know how to, you know, light a room whenever I wanted to be a musician. But it does come with a lot these days. You really are more of like a filmmaker than a musician.
So whenever you're producing your songs, do you kind of like outsource to people to like mix and master it, or have you kind of started doing that on your own?
I'm doing that on my own. And that's one of the reasons why it's taking me so long is because I live in what they call the gap, where my taste in production is so much higher than my skill level, you know? And so like I'm right here in between where like I'm just not quite satisfied with it. So it takes me a while to figure out how to get to a point where it's ready for release. But at the same time, if I were to wait on perfection, I wouldn't have any music out at all. So it's like a balance. Right now I'm in like a learning phase. But ultimately, I would love to just be able to record, produce my own work. I love to collaborate with people, but like I said, it does cost money, and there's a lot of scheduling involved in that. So
yeah, you kind of cut your overhead down if you can just knock it all out.
if I can just do it, I can work at my own pace as fast or as slow as I want to.
Cool. So let's talk about kind of like gear and like software you use. So whenever you are producing and kind of doing your thing, what are you using?
I use Logic. Yeah, I'm a Mac guy, so
Same.
It's just the easiest for me. Whenever I started to record, I was using GarageBand on just like a little laptop. So Logic is just sort of like GarageBand on steroids. So like the workflow was very easy for me to jump into.
Nice. You're already used to the Mac flow. So that's how like the software you're using. Of course, I see you got the Shure SM7B.
Definitely, yeah.
And that's your favorite microphone?
It is for what I'm doing. Yeah, for my space, it's fantastic. You don't need as treated of a space. You know, if I were to have like a really like couple $1,000 microphone, I would be wasting it because it would be picking up my air conditioner and, you know, all sorts of just weird sounds and, you know, the people outside my apartment. But with that 7B, it's pretty well isolated. And yeah, it does the trick.
Now, whenever you're like you're mixing your stuff, do you like to use the headphones or do you do the monitor speakers?
I do a lot in the headphones. I don't have stellar monitors. Those are just like some $100 ones I got from like Guitar Center whenever I was in college. I think like a freshman in college. They do the trick. Like they're great for music listening, but they're not ideal for mixing. So I tend to do a lot of the editing in these headphones here. And a lot of times actually, I have some friends who have better listening setups, and so I'll just take my computer over there and do the final mix, that final, you know, check, make sure nothing's sticking out.
Yeah, I bring that up because when I'm doing the podcast, I'll like do the car test.
Yeah, the car test is crucial.
Yeah, just because like sometimes like, oh, it sounds really good in these headphones, you know, and then I'll throw it in the car and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need to bring that up a little bit or turn this down or.
It's so crazy what a set of speakers and even a room can do. You know, I always say like if you were to come and listen to my songs in this room on my gear, it would sound immaculate. But it's so hard to make it sound good on an iPhone or a Bluetooth speaker as well as in here.
Yeah, that's so crazy how do you get it to sound like just translate to everything?
It's tough, and you're gonna make compromises. That's what I'm learning. It's like it might not sound as good in here if you want it to sound good on the iPhone. So it's important to know what your audience is listening to it on, and then kind of mixing it for that.
Yeah, because I'm barely starting to get into like doing just the WAV files instead of the old man MP3s is what I call them now.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought MP3s were good enough, and then you start, you download it, you're like, oh, this sounds like crap.
Yeah. You can hear it. It doesn't bother me as much unless I know that it's an MP3, and then it tends to get under my skin. But I feel in most instances, I probably couldn't tell you.
Yeah. If you're not really paying attention to it. Cool. Now, as far as I know, you brought this up a little bit earlier, and you're learning about lighting and things like that for your videos. Did that take you a while to get into that? Because I'm trying to myself get into something like that. So.
Right. It was really a necessity more so than anything. It started off on the phone, just making goofy videos and things like that with some friends. But whenever I jumped in, I really found that I enjoy it. It's crazy, but as soon as I make a video that I'm real proud of, even if it's just like a 20-second clip, after it's done, I'll just sit and watch it for like 30 minutes, and just kind of critique it, like what could I have done, or just really vibe to it and just be like, man, like just revel in my work and just enjoy it for a second before I move on to the next one.
That's awesome. I can see, like I said earlier, I can see that you're having, fun with it, and it's not a job or a chore to you. It's just like, oh, I get to make this video today. And
yeah. It's a good time, man. Like I said, I've had worse jobs, so it's
for sure.
I don't mind.
Well, let's talk about it. Because I thought this was cool whenever I was talking with Brian, having like musicians and old jobs used to have. So I might make that little segment. So
all right,
let's go. Worst job you had while being a musician?
Let's see. My first job was probably the worst job. I worked at Sonic in the kitchen, and that was challenging because Sonic, you may know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 24 hours in the day. They have it all. So it would be like I'd be in the middle of a dinner rush, and then I got to make somebody's breakfast burrito. I really didn't like that job, but probably most ridiculous job I had was I worked at a paper mill for a while back home, and it was this weird. My father worked at the paper mill, and there was this weird program they had where if your child was in college, they could come and work at the paper mill for the summer. And a lot of the people there were like, a lot of the kids were like trying to be engineers and things like that. So they had like a spot for them. They'd put them with an engineer so they could work on the machines, like, to see how everything works. But I was going to school for music, so they didn't know what to do with me. And so they gave me the job. There was a conveyor belt. I did this all summer. I did this for an entire summer. There was a conveyor belt that would transport wood chips. And there was a spot where a lot of wood chips would fall off. And so there would just be like a mountain of wood chips about as tall as this room. And they just gave me a shovel and a wheelbarrow. And I just had to shovel wood chips into this wheelbarrow, move them from one spot, probably about like 50 yards. And I would do that for 8 hours a day. Wake up first thing in the morning, go just doing nothing but shoveling wood chips. And one day I wasn't there. I couldn't make it for whatever reason. And I came back the next day, and they had somebody else doing the job, but they had a bobcat, like an actual piece of equipment, and they knocked it out in probably 30 minutes. Something
Like
that
y'all could have been doing this.
I
this
know,
whole
like something that
time.
took me all summer. Something that took me, and it was never ending. You know, the wood chips kept falling. The pile never got any smaller. You know,
Man, hey, I bet you're in shape though.
for sure. Yes, yes. It was very. I had the hard hat, the glasses, safety vest, the whole shebang.
Damn, you came up, man. You came
Yeah.
a long way from shoveling wood chips. bro.
Wood chip shoveling. And so, yeah, anytime I think that this is tough, I just remember that job.
And this was in because you're from Panama.
Panama City, Florida. Yes, sir.
Hey, do you miss it?
All the time. Yeah, yeah. I have a deep love for my hometown, for sure. I didn't, whenever I was growing up, I don't know, I guess I took the beach for granted. I was never like hey, let's go to the beach kind of kid, because it was always there. But then as soon as I moved away, I never knew what it felt to be landlocked, you know, and it's a very weird feeling to me. And so I do yearn, I do miss the ocean quite a lot. The Gulf of Mexico, I should say. But the town there, the people there, like people say keep Austin weird, but the weirdest people I've ever met are from Florida, for sure.
Yeah, I've heard some crazy Florida.
It's truly like it's a lot more sane here in Austin than it is over there. But I do like the loose nature of everybody. When you're that close to the water, I don't know, there's a different pace of life.
Yeah. What's the music scene like out there? Were you kind of in it? I know you're probably
sure.
younger, but
Yeah, no, I was definitely in it. For the most part, it was a lot of cover bands. You know, it's a lot of like Jimmy Buffett, and there's a lot of reggae over there actually. But yeah, for the most part, like there wasn't much of a original music scene. Since I've left, they've done a pretty good job of supporting original artists. But that was definitely not going on whenever I was over there.
cool. Yeah, I've been to Tampa before.
There you go.
But I was a kid, you know. But Florida's beautiful, man. Hot. I think it rained.
Yeah, it's gonna rain every day.
The whole time I was there, I was like, damn it, I want to go to the beach.
Yep. You can't get a day without at least 30 minutes of rain. But then it's gone. You know, it comes and goes pretty quick.
That's what I heard. Like a lot of Floridians will carry they'll always have a, umbrella with them or something.
no
just
doubt.
in the car.
Yep. You got to stay ready. It's humid. It's hot. But when it's not, it's gorgeous.
So what made you move to Austin? Was it music or?
It was definitely music. There's a gentleman, probably at the time, one of the only people doing anything for original music in Panama City. His name is Crook Stewart III. He's a good friend of mine. He's the tour manager he was the tour manager for Crosby, Stills and Nash, Joan Baez. He's with Snarky Puppy now. But he was from Panama City, Florida. And so whenever he wasn't out on the road, he would be home, and he had like a DIY music venue. And so I would go play over there every now and then. And as soon as I was finishing up college at Troy, which was just like 2 hours north of Panama City, I asked him, I was like, yeah, I just kind of want to get out of Panama City. I don't want to be redundant. I don't want to kind of burn out here so early. You have anything that you could help me with? And he was partners in a company with a gentleman named Ben Jumper, who worked at Soundcheck, who was the backline company I was working for initially. So they got me a job. They got me an internship, and I was playing with a band, Jam Therapy at the time, and I asked them, I was like, hey, I'm going to Austin. Like, you guys want to come? And they all said yes, they would love to. So we moved here. So it was kind of like a lot of things. Like, I had a job lined up. I had a band that was looking to play, and I had some family out here. So it kind of just made sense to make the move to Austin.
Cool. Did you settle in pretty easily, or did it take you a while to kind of get your bearings, like at least with the music part?
The music part I jumped into pretty quick. It wasn't too difficult to get into the scene. It really was just kind of trial and error, meeting the right people, making the right connections, and then ultimately, that's kind of what led me to Brittany. That's how I met her. Our bands would play together. Yeah, that's how it went down.
That's so beautiful. So that somebody from Ohio,
That's right.
and from Panama City, Florida, met here in Texas, and are just making beautiful waves.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's a good time, man.
Well, we could talk about some stuff outside of music.
Okay.
So what do you like to do out here in Austin?
Oh man, a big hobby of mine is roller skating. I love.
I
roller
read that.
skate.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Dude, I love it. I love it so much. I got my own skates. Wednesdays and Sundays they have adults night down south at South Austin Roller Rink. Shout out. But it's always a good time. It's like related to music. I get to go out and skate to music. That feels incredible to me. But it's still like it's something that I really had to practice to get good at, which was something I hadn't done other than music. Like that's the only time I had ever like really had to just like I had a passion for it and just messing up over and over again, falling down until I got it right.
Oh yeah, someone's good at roller skating when they bought their own pair.
Yeah, for sure. It's an investment, and then once you make that investment, you're like, man, I can't go out there and look like a clown in my own skates. Like you got to be good. So yeah, you just start, in a parking lot or something like that, practicing.
Are you one of those guys you can like go out there and like start spinning around and like go backwards and
I
stuff?
can go backwards. I look comfortable out there. I'm definitely not as good as a lot of people out there, but I look comfortable. That's what I like to say.
That's funny because we had a trip back to Lubbock, and my nieces, I was like, hey, what do you guys want to do? I'll take you out. Let's go roller skating.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my knees.
Whew. Yeah.
I didn't fall, so I'm proud to
falls.
say.
There you go.
No falls, but I was so stiff out there.
Yeah.
And like, I remember this little kid fell right in front of me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm about to kill a kid today.
Mm-hmm.
Then I like moved out the way, and I was like, tragedy averted. But it was fun, man. And like you said, when the music's going, you start feeling it. You're like,
feel
okay.
it.
And they turned the lights off, and I was like, oh.
The lights are a vibe. It's wild at adults night. They have it's BYOB. So people,
drunk people
they
skating.
are so drunk. They are so drunk. They're bringing just handles of liquor in there, and for some reason, the people who are just coming for the first time, bachelorette parties, birthday parties, things like that, they always want to like hold on to each other. They always want to go out there skating and hold on to each other. And then whenever one of them goes down, they just all go down. So you'll be skating, and just a wall of people in front of you will drop. But you get better at avoiding them. It's kind of like a wave. Like I compare it to like surfing or something like that, where you're in this collective of people just moving in a circle, and you're just navigating it. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how your path is going to get paved, but you just make it work. And there's something that's just been very like therapeutic, very like Zen-like to me whenever I go roller skating.
Cool. So you found something outside of music,
Yes.
another hobby that's just something good for the soul.
It is. It makes me feel good, and it inspires me, to make more music.
That's beautiful. I think mine's more hiking with my dog.
There you go.
That's a
good one. That's a good one.
Man, like when I'm feeling like shit or like I had a horrible day,
Yeah.
I just, put her little harness on and let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And where we move now, we're living by Lake Travis.
Yeah.
And like every which way around our apartment's just trails.
Oh, you got so much out there.
Oh, I got lost the other day because I wasn't paying attention. And I was like, all right, how do we get back?
Right.
I'm like hoping my dog like sniff our way home.
I love getting lost.
It's fun, man.
It really is. It's fun getting lost. I'll just turn off my cell phone and walk around a neighborhood just until I don't know where I'm at, and then see if I can get back to where I was.
And it's weird. I'll listen to murder mysteries
Oh, dude.
or like a horror podcast. I listen to this podcast called the No Sleep Podcast.
No Sleep podcast. What's that?
It's just a collection of horror stories.
Cool.
And
Fiction, nonfiction?
they're fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, they're fiction. They do a great job of adapting it. And I've been rocking with them, since like when they first came out.
Mm-hmm.
They're like my when I do road trips.
Yeah.
I'll listen to music for a while, then I'm like, let me just do something else. Like my wife will be out and asleep within like 30 minutes of us in the drive.
Right.
So
right.
I just turn those on. And the cool thing actually is I reached out to one of the voice actors.
Really?
Yeah, just randomly.
Oh, so they're like acting it out on this thing.
Yeah, like they are just they call them contributors, but
Gotcha.
there's like they work with artists, musicians that do like the score.
Mm-hmm.
But I reached out to one of the voice contributors, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a big fan of the show." And I don't want to. Hopefully, I don't ruin it, but she said she would do the podcast.
Ooh.
And I was like on cloud nine.
Yeah,
I was like,
dude.
it's hard because it's not like a flex. Like I can't call my friends and be like, "Oh, I got somebody from the No Sleep." They're like, "What is that?"
Hey, it's still a big deal though, man.
To me, it was like, yeah, because like I spend hours like listening to these people, and it's like. So I'm trying to get some episodes in and like show professionalism.
Yeah, yeah.
So and I think each one is a learning experience. I go home and I listen to myself and like, oh, you could have said this or done this better. But
yeah, especially in the editing bay.
Yeah.
That's really where you realize what you got and what you didn't get.
Mm-hmm. Cutting things out and chopping it up and whatnot. So, but yeah, man. Now that it's starting to heat up, do you do a lot of like outdoor activities, the creeks or anything like that?
I do try to. I am big on. I'll go sit out of the pool. Do that sort of thing. But most of the time, my gigs in the summertime are outside. So like I know there's going to be like a 4 or 5 hour period where I'm outside. So most of the time, my leisure time is inside, trying to escape that heat.
Heck yeah. I get that. All right, man. Let's talk about what you got coming up. Anything that you want to promote or just kind of shout out? Got you.
So yeah, I'm playing with BRITNY LOBAS, a song we wrote together called Marina. That's the Pershing. Let me check this date real quick. I don't want to get it wrong. I want to say April.
Oh, it's the 8th.
8th.
That's
yes, right.
I got my tickets too.
Ooh, dude, that's going to be a killer show. Yeah, check that out. Let's see what else I got. May 5th, I'm doing Cinco de Mayo, easy to remember.
Ooh.
I'm playing a show. It'll be my first full band show in years, like since COVID. So I'm really excited about that. Been putting that band together. And yeah, dude, just keep your eye out for any videos, music. I'm always throwing stuff out there.
Of course, as always, I'm gonna have your Instagram, all your socials. I'll put that out there, and your website.
Appreciate it.
Love the website. Makes it so easy to wherever you want to listen to, and
all in one spot.
Cool, man. Well, thank you,
dude. Josh,
again.
Thank you, my man.
This has been fun, man.
Good. I've had a good time. You're an excellent interviewer.
Thanks, brother.
Truly, you did a good job.
Thanks, man. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to the JPC Frequency Podcast. Peace.
Later.
I fall in love with every tall blonde that I meet. Whether I met her in a penthouse out on the street. It doesn't matter if she's salty, sugar, or sweet. 'Cause every now and then